Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to just do another quick lesson video explanation on domain and range. So the domain is another word, basically, that represents all of the X values for a relation, okay? And the range is all of the Y values for a relation. So let's look at a few examples. There's lots of examples. We'll go through, let's go through half of them. Okay, just to cut this a little bit shorter for you. So the domain is the inputs. So if I'm looking at the domain for this graph, okay, domain, another word for domain, the inputs, the X values. X is the input, Y is the output. So if I look at the domain for this graph, okay, we're looking at the X coordinates. So I know that my X's are all the first ones. Okay, I know that probably these ones are easy, so we'll do one or two of these, and then we'll zip onto some of the curves, okay? So those are the X values. This is the same graph, okay, over here, and this one's asking for the outputs or the Y values. So I know that my Y values are all the second coordinates, right? Because, of course, I know you guys know from even grade 6, my son is doing X and Y coordinates, so I know you guys know the first value, the first coordinate is X and the second coordinate is Y. Okay, so if it's not graphed here, this would be X and Y, this would be X and Y. Okay, so what are the X values for our graph here? Our X values, so this little thing here means the set, okay? This says the set of all X such that, okay? The set of all X values such that. That little bar means such that. And then we would say X is equal to. So this we need to write every time. I know it's really picky and weird, but we just have to write it like that. So the set of all X such that, and then inside is where you're going to pick, well, what are we going to write here? X is equal to, I'm just going to go in order here from smallest to biggest. Okay, it doesn't have to be smallest to biggest. It wouldn't be marked wrong if it wasn't smallest to biggest, but I'm just going to go from left to right. This helps to have an order, okay? -4, -3, 0, 1, and 3. Those are our X values. Now let's look at our Y values, okay? The set of all Y. The set of all Y values such that Y is equal to, well, what is Y equal to? Let's go from smallest to biggest again. My smallest is actually -2. Okay, -1 is a little bit bigger. 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to list those in order. Again, if you didn't list them in order, it wouldn't be incorrect. Okay, -2, -1, 1, 2, and 3. So those are the domain and range, okay, for that graph and those points. Okay, if you want to pause the video and do the try here, I will zip through and write down the answer really quickly. And okay, so there would be the domain and the range for this graph. Okay, this one might be a little confusing because you see that you've got two X coordinates. This one here is -4, -1, and this one here is -4, 2. Now, of course, you don't have to list the -4 twice. If you did, it wouldn't be wrong, but you just have to say, well, there is a -4 value. Okay, we also know there's a -3 value, there's a value of 0, and there's a value of 2. Right? This is -3, 1. And this is 0, 5, and this is 2, 2. Okay? So our Y values, though, okay, we're going to have 5 Y values because there are 5. We've got the -1, the 1, the 2, oh, no, 2 2s, and a 5. So we don't have to list those twice either. So what do we have there? We've got -1, 1, 2, and 5. Again, we don't have to write those twice. Okay, that just says those are the X values and those are the Y values. So hopefully that makes sense. If we look at this next one, let's look at our points here. This is a little bit wonky, isn't it? So this one here, we've got -4, 2, -2, 2, 2, 2, and 3, 2. Those are our 4 points if we just look at our coordinates. And therefore, what's our x values? Well, our x values are -4, -2, 2, and 3. So I'm going to rewrite that as x equals -4, -2, or I'm going to write that rather, 2 and 3. Our y values, well, our y values are all the same, right? They're all 2. So we just have one range value, one output. Y is equal to 2. Whatever this relation is, if I input -4, I get 2. If I input -2, I get 2. If I input 2, I get 2, and so on. So our range is just y equals 2. Now, this one here, okay, I want to hone in on. So similar, notice how this is similar to this one, okay? It's similar in that our range is just going to be y equals 2, because all along this value, along this horizontal line, our y value stays the same, okay, as it was over here, okay? Y was all equal to 2. This one, if you think of, let's just look at the x values. If I think about x, okay, our smallest, now I think in grade 9 you guys did some number line stuff, right? So I know that you know that this x value here would be -4, and this x value here would be 3. So our x values are between -4 and 3. Right? Our smallest one here is -4, 2. And our biggest one here is 3, 2. Okay, our rightmost point. So our largest x value is 3. Our smallest is -4. The way we write that is I'm going to do this. -4 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 3. Well, what the heck does that mean, Mrs. Schwartz? Now, I know from teaching many, many years, like I've been teaching for about 200 years now, that students find this confusing. What this says is, this says x is greater than or equal to -4, and x is less than or equal to 3. Okay, that's an and statement. So it's all the numbers between -4 and 3. And we read it from the x, right? X is greater than, okay, -4, right? X is greater than -4. That's a than, not then, than. Okay, and x is less than 3. Right? Greater than -4 and less than 3. See how the open sign, so that's where you read that. That's all of, anytime you've got a line that stops, okay, you're going to have sort of in between. I'll show you another one. Okay, this one here, almost the same down here. This one goes from -4 to 3, but I know you guys did this in junior high because I remember junior high. This is like an open dot, so it's all the x values from -4 to 3, but not an equal sign here, not including -4, okay? Doesn't include, okay? Does not include -4. So if I look at this graph, I can see, again, the range is 2. My y values are all equal to 2, no matter where I am. This point would have been, -4, 2, although it's not including -4, 2, okay, because it's the open dot. It's everything up to there, so it would be like -3.9999999 would be included, okay? So like this value here would be -3.99999, -2, or +2. I think I said negative. This point here is still 3, 2. So no matter where I am, 0, 2, 1, 2, no matter where we are along this horizontal line, our y value is 2. Now, what about the domain? It's the same as up here, almost, It's between -4. So the trick is we put the smallest number here, the biggest number here, okay? Our small number, our big number, and our little signs go in the shape of an L on her forehead. If you were in my class, I would sing that. Okay, how do the little signs go? In the shape of an L on her forehead. Not like this, nope, like this. That's when it's in between, okay? Now, we need an equal sign here because it includes, okay? We include the 3. But we don't include -4, so no equal sign here, okay? No equal sign. Okay, let's look at a couple more examples here. This one, my smallest x value is -4, not including -4, and then we're going on together. If there's no, this looks like it's continuing, okay? It's continuing. I'm going to presume there's like a little arrow at the end, okay? If we're not sure, we can ask, okay? But we're going to presume, I think these should have had arrows on the end, okay? That's the whole idea here. So again, our range is 2. All along this line, our y value is always 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. But what is our smallest x value? Our smallest x value is -4. But, actually there's a couple ways we can write this. X is greater than -4. So we could write -4 like that. And we know that it goes to, what's the largest value? Infinity. So we could write this between the smallest and the biggest. Okay? And of course, sorry, we can never equal infinity. Sorry, so we can't put an equal sign there. Okay? Another way to write this one would be, okay, just simply x is greater than -4. See how that says the same thing? We read it from the x. So this says x is greater than, right? X is greater than -4. We read it from the x. And x is less than infinity, right? Because the little tiny less than is right there. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's look at the next example. Here again, our range is y equals 2. Okay, all along this line, our y value is 2. Now, I'm presuming this goes to negative infinity because it's going on and on forever. And this side here is going to positive infinity. Well, if you think about the real number system, the tricky way to write that, or sort of the shortcut, we could say this. This is what this means. From negative infinity, whoops, can never equal infinity, to infinity, okay? So no equal signs there. Or we can say it's all real numbers, okay? The set of all x such that x, whoops, is an element of the real number system, which simply means x can be any real number. So this is a fancy way of reading. This says the set of all x's, okay, such that, that little vertical line means such that, okay, x is an element of, it's one of the variables of, right? It could be any variable, any part of the real number system. But that means the same thing as this, okay? It means the same thing. And how we write the real number system, you'll see it written with it like a double bar. Real number system. And that just means if you go along this line, you've got all your whole numbers, your integers, which don't have decimals, incidentally. Remember, your integers are your positive and negative numbers without decimals. And then your rational numbers, which are all the fractions in between. So it's really every single number in that real number system. Okay, let's look at the next one. The domain. Every value here, this value here is 2, 0. This is 2, 5. This is up here, 2 comma 10, 2 negative 5, 2 negative 2, 2 negative 10, and so on. So what's my domain? Here, our domain is 2. And our range is all these numbers. The smallest range value is going to be negative infinity. Okay, the smallest y value, this arrow means we're going to infinity to the bottom and we're going to infinity to the top. So we can say y is an element of the reals. Okay, so domain range, a little bit of a vague concept, abstract, a little abstract. So hopefully you can kind of see this. Let's look at the next couple here. Here, if I were to draw a vertical line for my x's, I'm going to draw a dotted line, okay, for my x here because of the open dot, and I'm going to draw a solid line here, okay. So what is our smallest x value? Our smallest x value is negative 4, and our biggest x value is 2. So I'm going to write negative 4. Whoops, no equal sign, Mrs. Schwartz, open dot, okay? So x is greater than negative 4 and less than or equal to 2, right? This value here, in fact, is negative 4, negative 7. And this value here is, 2, comma 5. So our smallest value is negative 4, biggest value is 2. I can see that if I kind of think of the number line or the, just look at the numbers, right? Now, if we look at the y's, okay, my y goes from here to here on my graph. So I'm looking, my graph, it goes through negative 7, and it goes up to 5. Now, of course, this is a dotted solid line. Closed dot, I should say. And here, this is an open dot. So when I look at the y values, my smallest y value is negative 7. My biggest y value is 5. Okay, so from negative 7, oops, and again, no equal sign, with, okay, so this says y is greater than negative 7 and less than or equal to 5. Okay, let's look at the next one. Again, let's presume there's a big fat arrow right at the bottom here. If there's no closed dot, we're going to presume it's an arrow for this one here. Okay, the domain, set of all x such that, well, my smallest x value, right, if this keeps going to the left, right, this is going to keep going and going and going and going to infinity, negative infinity. But my biggest x value, right, where would I draw? If this line keeps going, there's never going to be a minimum x value. But my biggest x value is here at 2, right? This is the value 2, 5. So I'm looking at my x value. So it's all numbers smaller than or equal to 2. So here we're going to write x is less than or equal to 2. And then let's look at the range separately. The range, I'm looking at the y values. My biggest y value here is 5. And then we're going down. So we're going to say y is less than or equal to 5. Okay. Let's do the next couple. Let's do these two. These two are going to have the same answers as these two, okay? So if I look at this one, what is the smallest x value? Oh, this acts for domain and this one acts for range. Okay, this is the same domain and range here, okay? I think. Isn't this the same graph? Oh, no, it's not. Different graphs. Okay. I was thinking these have the same slope, but they're not. This one here, our smallest x value, right? Let's just look at the x. This graph is going to keep going down, 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 and left, 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 left forever. I mean, I don't mean to curve it, but right? What's happening is it's going to keep going I'm just looking at the left-rightness of it. It's going to go left forever, and it's going to travel right forever. So that is all real numbers. And then if I look at the up-downness of the graph, it's going to go up forever, right? It's going to continue going up forever and down forever. So that's going to be all real numbers. Well, same with this one. Okay, let's just pick this one down here, this one right here. If I look at this one, this is traveling faster up than down. It's steeper than this other one was, but it's still traveling forever, still continuing to go out to the left. And it's continuing to go to the right, right? And it's continuing to go up and it's continuing to go down. So all of our left-right values are going to be used, and all of our up-down values are going to be used. The graph is not stopping because there's a presumed arrow. So here we would say X is all reals and Y is all reals. Okay, X is all real numbers and Y is all real numbers. The set of all X such that Y is an element of the real number system. Okay, same with these ones. This one keeps going and this one keeps going. What's my smallest X value? Well, this is going out, it's going to keep going out forever, and it's going to keep going out forever. It's not going to curve quite like that, but it's going to keep going, right? Slowly forever, not that more gradual. But again, that's all real numbers. And then our Y value, it's going to keep going up and down forever. So Y is all real numbers. Okay, let's look at these ones. These are called parabolas. You will study these in grade 11. But the shape itself, we can look at the domain. This value here, let's look at the vertex, the little point, right? A vertex is like a summit or a little end point. So if I look at this, this is the point 2, 1. So in terms of our domain, let's look at the domain first. It's going to keep going out forever. I'll draw this and then I'll erase it because I don't want to. Right, that's going to keep going out, forever, right? So we're going to say the set of all X such that X is all real numbers. Now our Y value, we do have it's going down forever, okay? It's going to go down forever to negative infinity, but we got a maximum Y value here, don't we? So we're going from 1 down to negative infinity. So we'll say Y is less than or equal to 1, okay, because we've got a maximum Y value there. Same with this one. Here, this is also Y is less than or equal to 1, right? Y is less than or equal to 1, because this is the point negative 2, 1. Our graph is still going down, and X is all real numbers. It's going out to the left and out to the right forever. Now, obviously, again, it's not like that. It's a gradual, but it's still, if you were to look way down, we would, continue to go out forever, okay, in both directions. Okay, let's do these last two. I don't mean for this to be such a long video, but I hope this helps. If I look here, my smallest X values and my biggest X value. So this is an in-betweener, right? I've got a small X value. My smallest X value, it's here at -1, isn't it? -1, right? This here is at -1. And this here biggest X value is at 3. Does that make sense? Because this here point would be -1, 0. And this here point would be 3, 0. And then if I think, let's just do domain first. So we would write it like this. Our smallest, right? We write small, and then X and Y, X or Y in the middle, to big. And how do these always go in the shape of an L on her forehead. They don't go like this. Nope. They go in the shape of an L. Okay? Okay, you guys know the song, right? She was looking kind of dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Okay. Is that how you spell forehead? Or is it, I don't think there's an E in there, is there? think it's just forehead. Never written forehead before. I don't know. I'll look it up after. Okay, so how are we going to write that? Let's go back here. So how are we going to write that? We're going to go from -1, x in the middle, to 3. And those are both equal to ones, because if there's no open dot, it's like a closed dot. And then this one here is from -2, right? This point here would be, this value here would be 2, -2, but I'm only concerned about y's now, right? I'm looking at the y. My smallest y value is going to be -2, and my biggest y value, this is 2, my biggest y value is 2. Right here we were concerned about x's, so we went from -1 to 3, and here we're concerned about our y's. I'm looking at the range. We're going from -2 to 2. -2, smallest number, biggest number. Okay? If you guys want, you can pause it and do a try here. And then I'll just fill this in quickly. You pause it. Okay, from -1 to 3, right? -1 to 3 is our x values, and our y values go from -2 to 2. Okay, hopefully that helps. It's a little confusing, that domain and range. I have another couple of things to shoot your way next week, so hopefully this helps. And if you're a little bit confused, let me know, because I've got more stuff coming. Usually I would spend 2 days on domain and range in class, because I know it's a bit complicated. So stick with it. We'll get it. Hopefully this helps. Miss you guys.